It's quiet for me. I just cranked out that video yesterday. If you watch that video I just put out on spot metering and histogram, time to time you might hear in the background the fireworks, little pops here and there. And you know, I looked outside and I was thinking maybe I would try and get some shots of the fireworks because they were shooting them off across the street in the church. But from my house, even though it's only like one block, I couldn't see it from my house. And I'm not gonna walk over there, not in my neighborhood, because fireworks are illegal here in Maryland, right? So whoever was doing it, were already breaking the law. So I yeah, I didn't want to go because crime rate here is pretty high where I live. But anyhow, uh, my point being that normally those little pops that you might hear in my videos is because of gunfire, really. But last night was just fireworks, so no need to worry about life and limb. Oh, it was like a war zone over there, huh? So let's see who's here. I see Hans. Always good to see you. Jones. Jonas. John McCormick. Oh, you have a question already. Okay, good. Soft to be fun. Christian. Johannes. Yeah, the USS. I don't know. I didn't feel like putting a gray screen up, so I just grabbed the next thing that was in that folder as far as images go. I usually like to put my own pictures up, but I was already late for the stream because you know how it is, right? I just turn the computer on and sit down. I really should plan these streams a little better so I can be a little more productive and help you guys out more. But you know, the intent really is just to be available to answer any questions you might have on Olympus cameras and workspace, and just talk about photography and what's new. And I like hanging out with you guys. It's really therapy for me. um, but hopefully I can give back because you guys have really given me so much in the last 3-4 years that I've been doing YouTube, and it's really become a big part of my life. So I'm here to try to give back a little bit to some extent, and I enjoy it. So let's see. Oh, Roberto Nature, good to see you. Let's see what John was asking me here. On the M10 Mark II, is there any way to adjust highlights and shadows without enabling the multifunction and the FN buttons? I use FN buttons for other controls. Oh, that's a good question. I don't think there is. Let me pull up my M10 real quick. Maybe something will come to mind. A workaround. I'm thinking in the display menu would be the only place to look for that. Of course, with Olympus, who knows? Info settings, live view info, custom, highlight and shadow. If I click the info button, yeah, there is. I knew there'd be a way. But okay, so you go into menu D, right? Display and info. And you go into there, you go to live view info, you click on that. You go down to custom, make sure it's clicked, or you know, clicked here, right? Click over. And there it is, highlight and shadow, and just check that box on and off. And then you can see the little highlight shadow blinkies here. I have the body cap on, so it's just going to be blue blinkies. But you can toggle, you know, the live view info by clicking the info button, like so. And that's all there is to it. So yay, I got one today. You guys questions get so hard sometimes. I have no idea. Let's see. Hey Wahab, how are you? Good to see you. And Plato, always good to see you. I liked your comment. Who gives me the dislikes on my videos? It's probably Tony or Fro, right? Although I never dislike their videos, I always click like. I don't see the point in clicking dislike. If you don't like it, just watch something else. But it's okay. I like Instagram because there's only a like button, right? So you have no idea if people dislike it, other than the people that didn't click like, which is fine by me. And you know, the Instagram was thinking of getting rid of the like button, I think, in some places. And I'm like, why? Why? You know? Um, we need some sort of feedback on our images and justification of our existence, right? I mean, I hope nobody takes Instagram as serious as life, because life is much bigger than social media and everything we do. But still, you know, I think it's important. I'm gonna put this. I'm fumbling because I'm gonna put this battery in the camera and charge it with the USB. Okay. 4th of July. Yes. Thank you, Mike. I really appreciate that. Mike is very consistent. Every week he drops in a few bucks for me. I really appreciate that. Yeah, some ammo for self-defense. I'm pretty stocked up. I got Ellie, my girl dog, too, so she's my first line of defense, right? Um, she, you know, pound for pound, she's a killer. um, she got a big groundhog the other day, man, huge, and I couldn't do nothing. I opened the door, and she charged out, and I thought it was a squirrel at first because it's a little bit far back, and I said, well, 9 times out of 10, the squirrels make it. You know, they can hustle up a tree or scramble down the fence, you know, whatever. A groundhog, yeah, no chance. They're just too slow. Last year she killed a whole family of groundhog. It was so sad, you know, like the mom, the dad, and the baby. And the baby wasn't, you know, small and innocent. You know, it was the smallest of the three over a 5-day window. But I guess dad disappeared. So mom came out looking. The mom disappeared. Then the little baby came out looking. And it was, I felt so bad. It's just a graveyard in my backyard, behind the fence anyway. Oh, let's see. It's you who has given us much. Oh, thanks, Plato. Yeah, if not for my channel, you would have sold your Olympus. I get, that's really one of the most common feedbacks I get is, you know, I've had this camera for years and just never used it, and thanks to you, blah blah blah. Or um you know, I almost returned my camera within, you know, I just bought this and I almost returned it, but I found your channel. And that's that makes me so happy when I hear stories like that, because uh it's not because I'm doing Olympus tutorials. It's because people are interested in photography, and they just need to, you know, the learning curve can be pretty steep if you've never used a camera before, right? I mean, cell phones are not cameras, technically. You know, they're just image capture devices, in my opinion. But a camera, you know, has all these controls and dials, and there's reasons for all of the buttons and dials on a camera. And I'm trying to take away that barrier of or that intimidation of working with a camera. And it's very rewarding for me when I get feedback like that. What do you guys think of the newly announced lenses? Does the Pro Macro have a good focal length, or is it too long? F4 sufficient for wide angle Pro? Yes and yes. 100 millimeter macro is awesome. I have one for my Nikon, and I've adapted it, you know, one time to my Olympus Pen F, and the images, you know, it's just the magnification is so much more. You know, I don't have a number, but it's more than 1-to-1, right? So you can, and it's really handy for really small things, little tiny like ladybugs, insects of that size or smaller. You know, you can get really close uh, with 100 millimeter macro. Now, as far as the f4 lenses, particularly wide angle, I don't think it really matters. because usually wide angles for landscape, and you're taking images at f5.6, typically maybe even f8 if you really have a lot of things in the foreground too. So I think it's a very useful focal f-stop because it keeps the lens smaller, and it's a lens that's definitely #1 on my list when it comes out. And if money were no object, I would buy it the day it comes out, but I have to see where I am financially when that lens comes out, because things just, I'm kind of running right above I'm right on the cusp of poverty, right? Versus, being able to buy a lens. It's, I mean, but anyhow, so I have to see where I'm at. But that, of all the lenses that come out, that is the one lens I'm going to get. Let's see. I think means adjusting of light and shadow only found in the f2 multifunction. Oh, okay, Roberta. No, I think I found another way. Oh, hey, Eric, how are you? You own an A6000. Awesome. I wanted an update with 4K instead of traded in for an A6 or I purchased the M10 III. IBIS is a bonus. Yes. That is the strongest feature of the M10 Mark III over the M10 Mark II is the 4K video. And I think it's a better looking camera. I mean, I love my M10 Mark II, but I just like the newer design. Even though it's a more plastic body, it doesn't bother me. Like or dislike doesn't matter. Tony B in the house. Okay. Oh, I know. I'm not worried about the algorithm. It's just a psychological thing, right? When I see a dislike, I'm like, what did I do? What was the one thing in the video, or is it the whole video, or is it, when there's a dislike, it's better if I get a little constructive feedback about what I can change, right? Because I know early on, I got a lot of feedback about my verbal tics. I used to say, okay, all the time. Okay, let's look at this. Okay, let's look at that. And lately I've noticed my verbal tic has been sort of, so I need to kind of tone those back as best I can. And sometimes the dislike is because there's music in the background. And in my early videos, I had no idea how to deal with audio ducking, like where when I speak, the audio gets quiet. And then when I stop talking, the audio kind of comes back in gradually. And now I got a feel for that. So I can add audio into my videos so that they're less intrusive on the content. But for my tutorials and things, I generally try to keep all music out, other than my little 10-second intro. Some people, they have a trouble distinguishing, a person's voice message through when there's any kind of distracting music in the background, like their hearing is such that it, it just turns into noise instead of complementing the tutorial. It just turns into white noise that the person can't distinguish what I'm trying to say. So I just said, all right, so the no music in the tutorials. So that's what I do now. Yeah, she's wanted dead or alive by the Groundhog Society. I'll tell you that. Ellie sounds like a serial killer. That's right. Wahab thinks it's a blessing in disguise that Olympus sold its photography division. Now cameras should drop their prices significantly and become even more affordable. Wow, I got mixed feelings about that. I didn't think the cameras were that pricey to begin with. Yeah, they on paper they are more expensive than what might look like a comparable camera. But a spec sheet doesn't tell the whole story, right? I think for me, I think you get your money's worth with the Olympus cameras. If I would say they should drop their prices about 10% across the board. Is about all to kind of make me feel a little better. Um, but I'm not that unhappy now with the pricing. Like I paid full price for my EM5 Mark III and my Pen F. You know, that was $11.99 when it came out. I paid full price for my EM10. I think I paid $7.99 with two lenses. I might have got a deal on the second lens. You know, they always give the 40 to 150 for like $99. Um, the only camera I got a really good deal on is the used one, the EPL8. I got a smoking deal. My EM5 Mark II, I got a smoking deal. Oh, John has got a follow-up here. Checking highlight shadows in live view custom only allows you to see the data, but not adjust the highlights and shadows, right? I went to adjust. Oh, okay. The highlight shadows. I know what you mean now. Sorry, I assumed you meant the blinkies. Where's my EM10? Let me think. On the M10 Mark II, I don't think you can. You can on the newer cameras because they put it in the super control panel. Let me see. Let me think for a second if there's a workaround. I don't think there is. Exposure. Color grading. Check in the shooting menu. Yeah, I don't think there is a way to get the highlight and shadow, uh, the adjustments without assigning it to a button. I'll have to give that some more serious thought maybe after the stream, but I can't think of any way to get to it. Yeah, the newer cameras have the highlight shadow in the super control panel now, but yeah, not on the M10. So they've addressed that issue with their newer cameras, but not. And don't look for a firmware update on an EM10 Mark II anytime soon. I love my limited edition silver EM1 Mark II. I hope Olympus can make another edition, maybe for the Mark III or the Pen F Mark II. Yeah, I hope there's a Pen F too. I seriously doubt it, but I hope. I like the silver edition of the M1 Mark I a little better than the Mark II. Because on the Mark II, they kept the dials and buttons black, but on the Mark I, the entire surface is all silver. The buttons and dials are silver with the body. So I kind of like that look a little better. I just felt like the buttons on a silver body look like the buttons were just kind of tacked on. So I'd like to see a little more continuity, but it's just purely aesthetics, you know. Everybody likes different things. Marcia, how are you? From Florida, that's right. Um, robtrek, you can't please everyone. Haters gonna hate. Yep, the world is not gonna like me. And it's weird about, you know, when you interact with people. I feel like, you know, I'm very easygoing, but there's times when I look back and I think to myself, you know, I don't want to be that guy. not meaning not the nice guy, but meaning there's times when I look back how I've treated some people, and it was totally undeserved, right? I should not have said or done or acted in a way to that person. Uh, and I don't know what it is, right? Just sometimes I'm not saying you, but sometimes I treat or say something to people that I really shouldn't say or do or treat them that way, right? It, and I always try to look back and at situations where I recognize that I was wrong or didn't didn't behave appropriately or said the wrong thing. And I don't know why, because they're nice people that I did this to, really nice people. But they just rubbed me the wrong way somehow, some personality thing, the aura or chemistry or something was just not right. And I saw like there's this one person I saw again where I recognized I was having this issue with this person, that it's totally on me, right? It's not them. When I saw them again, I really tried to just take away anything that any bad feelings or weirdness I had about this person. When I saw them again, I couldn't help it. I was like, I hate this guy. I just don't like him. I don't want to be around him at all. And there's no reason for it. Because he's a really nice guy. It's just irritates me. And I can see where if somebody's watching one of my YouTube channels, maybe that's all it is. I'm just irritating to them for no reason other than something I can't identify. Just sometimes you don't like a person, you don't know why. I don't know if that's ever happened to any of you guys. And I hate being that kind of person where you just dislike someone for no reason. I can't help it though. With this one person, and I'm always very polite and kind now if I ever see them again. Uh, but deep down, I'm gritting my teeth like I got to get away from this person, and it just doesn't make any sense. Uh, yeah. While I was saying just ignore the trolls. They dislikes and negative comments. They never watch your videos. They just press dislike because they are themselves not. Well, what's interesting is like the streams I put up like usually the day before, so that people know it's coming the next day. And there's dislikes on the streams before they even start. So it's kind of funny, that there's already dislikes on my streams. If it's a viewer that doesn't like watching my streams, because I did get some feedback early on, that people didn't like my streams. And as a matter of statistics, my streams actually lose subscribers. Every time I check my stats, it's like -6, subscribers, and the view counts are low, and there's no money generated. Typical 2-3 hour stream, I might make like 50 cents, if that, and then I'll lose 6 subscribers. And I think that's why a lot of channels, maybe when they used to do streams, they stopped doing them, because it's statistically it makes no sense. But I'm not doing this for clicks or money. Obviously, it's mostly about, just like I said, I just like hanging out with you guys, because you've all been really an inspiration to me through your Instagram accounts, through your participation in the forums, and all of that fun stuff that we do in photography. Han says, you bought your EM10 Mark III for $349 refurbished. Works great. Took some nice moonshots. Oh, nice. Nice. Yeah, with the kit lens. Kit lenses rock. Yes, Tony never buys new, and usually he can get a guarantee with it. I was hoping to send in photos of fireworks for the review, but it's not. But it was a total fail. Live comp was good, but couldn't get focus correct. Also, mosquitoes drained a gallon of blood. Oh my God, Mike, you and I are in the same boat. I'm a freaking mosquito magnet. I don't know what it is. My sister's the same way. Like her husband's sitting right next to her. No problem. I don't know why some people are attract mosquitoes more than others. But I bought a bug zapper and I put it in my kitchen, which is, kind of central in the house. I haven't had any problems of mosquitoes in my house anymore. And I get mosquitoes because, I leave my door open a lot for a dog. And God, last year I went through some very cheap bug zappers, so I decided to just buy a big one. And man, that thing is awesome. I have to clean that thing out every couple of days. It just gets full. It scares the heck out of Ellie when it zaps. It's pretty loud. You might hear it during the stream. It pops time to time. Oh, okay, Hans. We'll see you later. You've been gone for about 5 minutes already, but thanks for coming in. Let's see. I hate people who don't obey me. I'm actually poor dude in every way of the meaning of the word poor. Yep, you are in good company, Wahab. Let me tell you, man. I buy all my clothes at Goodwill, and like this shirt, pants, shoes, everything. And my t-shirts, you have to buy them at the store. They don't sell, like under t-shirts. But I got t-shirts older than, yeah, older than some of my viewers probably. I think everybody has a feeling about someone they could never done anything wrong and they still make you feel uncomfortable. Yeah, that's weird. I don't get it. I just don't understand because he's the nicest guy ever. And I'm just using this person as an example because there's no reason for it. It's a super nice guy. I mean, people always say, like if you dislike someone, it's probably because there's something that you dislike about yourself. I don't see it though. There's nothing there's nothing he does that I should dislike. So what is it about myself that I dislike if that's the case? I don't know. You know, focusing on the stars is hard, especially with my dying eyes. If I put my reading glasses on, what I do is I put my reading glasses on and then I find the brightest star if I can and zoom in on that 14x, as magnified as much as I can and just slowly turn the focus ring. And that's how I usually can get focus on a star. It's still a pain in the butt, but that's how I do it. If I can't, then I try and focus on something really far away and take a picture and then see if the stars look sharp. If I focus on something really far away, sometimes it's close enough that the stars will still be sharp. By the way, I just noticed that I'm wearing the same t-shirt which I wore when I recorded the testimony for you. That's yeah, Wahab, Wahab made like this video which he's just very flattering about my channel. So I really appreciate that. Um yeah, that I don't remember what t-shirt that was. It's been a while. But I downloaded that video and I was reorganizing my drive yesterday. The videos on my drive and I saw yours there because I downloaded it and I moved it into a folder that made sense so I could find it again. But that was that was a really nice video. Yeah, light pollution is a problem. So even if you do get focus, it's still not going to be a great astro shot, right? Because all the light pollution. It's good to practice, but yeah, to really get a good astrophotography shot, you have to go somewhere where there's no light pollution. For me, I have to drive 2.5 hours, and then I can get to a spot to where the light pollution is probably half what it is here, which is great. If I drive about 5 hours, I can get to where there's almost no light pollution. But yeah, that's gonna have to be a planned trip for like a week. Commodore is asking, have you had success with movie ISO limiter? Does not seem to work for me. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong. I'm sorry, I've never used that. Uh, I've never used it. You know, when I do my videos and tutorials, I mean, to be honest, I just put the camera in auto program mode for video. Um, Sometimes I go through the trouble of fixing the shutter speed so I get that 180 rule. But then, yeah, it's a pain to kind of adjust all the other settings. So I just found putting in program mode for recording has worked fine for what I do. I'm not doing any kind of critical movie making or cinema work, right? I just have to be clear, and the audio is more important than the video in a lot of things I do. So yeah, sorry, that's it's not an area, but and honestly, until you mentioned it, I totally forgot that that was even a feature. But you know, that would be a great topic for my fine print series, right? Because that is kind of, it's not a real pen. This is a stylus. I gotta have a pen. Here it is. I got my my EM1X pen. I got this at one of the live events. So movie ISO limiter. Oh, actually, I got a notepad that I saved now for my fine print. Let me put it there. Limiter EM1-3. All right, very good. I don't know when I'll get around to that, but I'll definitely put it in one of my videos for you, how that works, and if I can find any, if there's any challenges with it or limitations to a limiter. Amir, how are you? When taking pictures of architecture, we sometimes need to use keystone fix the distorted image, so when we take other pictures, is it also distorted? We don't know it. Uh, yeah, I think I never used the keystone feature personally. Let me see real quick. But I think the question is, does the keystone stay on? It will stay on. You can turn it on, but I don't know if it turns off after one picture. So let's see. Where would that be? Maybe in the shooting menu, maybe. Yeah, here it is. If I adjust the keystone, take a picture. Noise, all right. Yeah, it stays on, so you have to adjust the sliders back to 0 on the keystoning after each picture. If you don't want to use the keystone again, you have to turn it off or put the sliders back on the EM10 Mark II. Lots of light pollution where I live in London, Rom. Yeah, yeah, light pollution is definitely a challenge for most of us, right? We live in a city, suburban area. Bob says, I use a variable ND filter and use 1/50th at ISO 200 in M mode. That's why my exposure is terrible in all my videos. I haven't watched any videos since you made that one. Have you been publishing on YouTube your videos? Okay, Cormada, I'll do some videos. I have 3 videos about the video settings in the camera. It doesn't address that one that you're talking about ISO limitation, but it is a pretty good, I mean, it's a little dry, but it's a really good tutorial on using video mode and exposure in video mode and focusing in video mode. But I think, you know, that was on the EM10 Mark II. I should probably make one for the EM1s and the EM5 Mark III, because there are some, the autofocus is definitely improved, but there are some additional features that weren't on the earlier cameras. Oh, Wahab, you want some vlogging videos? Okay. You know, I didn't get the impression a lot of my viewers cared about video or vlogging. But I guess sprinkling one in every now and then is okay. I mean, I'm not the best vlogger. If you ever see my videos, you know, my vlogging is okay. The camera's doing all the heavy lifting. I just push record. I mean, the biggest challenge with vlogging is the audio. So I've come up with a couple of solutions for audio that, you know, I just learned on YouTube myself, right? But that's really the hardest part. You know, the camera does all the heavy lifting on the video part. You just put it in natural, you know, profile and program mode, and it does a fine job. If you want to get all technical and do the 180 rule, you know, where you set the shutter speed, then you want to lock the ISO at 200, and then you want to bring in ND filters, and maybe you want to record in the new log or a flatter profile or a muted profile, and then do all this grading and post-processing. It's like, man, that's a lot of freaking overhead just to go out and take a few pictures and say, you know, you know what I mean? It makes perfect sense if you're into making short movies and things where you're looking for a specific kind of look or grading. Then all of those things are very important. But for the average enthusiast, or average, not enthusiast, but the average person taking their camera out to record video, they just want to capture those moments and have, you know, semi-decent picture. But still, sound, I think, is still something many people will still appreciate a good lesson on how to work with sound. Oh, okay, good, Wahab. I have to go back and check your channel. I haven't been there in a while. I mean, I went to it a few times after you made that one video, but I haven't seen much lately, or I haven't been there lately. Hey, David, how are you? Good to see you. And just before I forget, Joe Morano, who used to drop in time to time on the live stream, he has a really good channel. He uses Panasonic G9, but I was really impressed with his vlogging. He vlogs his photography journeys and things, right? Uh, I was really impressed. So Joe, good job, man. I was definitely impressed. I don't know if I left a comment. Oh, because I watch a lot of YouTube on my TV, so I can't leave comments, but I'll have to drop in and leave you a comment sometime. What settings get saved into custom mode? Does the shooting, focus point, ISO? I'm not sure what does get saved that you have to change. Okay, Mike. I just did a recent video on the custom modes, which goes into pretty good detail, but I think because there are some caveats depending how you save the custom mode or access it. If you access it through a function button, there's some limitations. Some things don't get saved, like and then if you set the mode dial to be, if you program a custom mode into the mode dial like C1, C2, or maybe you put it into iAuto or art filter, then that's the best way to do it, is to program the custom modes onto the mode dial. One thing off the top of my head that does not get saved, gosh, what is it? Yeah, function buttons, right? So if you program function button 1 to be, say, magnify, function button 2 to be peaking, function button 3 to be white balance, those settings don't get saved to the individual my sets or custom modes. So at least on the M10 Mark II, you'll have to watch my other video on custom modes where I did it for the EM1 Mark III, I believe. That I go into detail about what does and doesn't get saved. But on EM10 Mark II, definitely the function buttons, once you set those, they stay to that regardless of what custom mode you move it into or try to save it to. Jonas is right. He has the M10 and audio is terrible. So he uses his phone with an external microphone to record it. Yeah, that's that's definitely the best way. Some kind of external recording device. And if you're vlogging, now if you can be on a tripod, I do have another solution I'm working on that's almost as good as recording externally. It's so I'll have to do a video on that once I work out the bugs. I've been saying that for like a year now though. But I'll eventually get to it. Bob says, yeah, you see, Rob, our lifetime is now going to be divided into pre and post COVID. So please don't worry about the income and all. Just try not to spend where it's not vitally necessary. Yeah. And I'll be fine in a few months. I hope so. Andreas, good to see you. Better late than never. Oh, they're not in English, your videos, Wahab? But I can critique on the technical aspects to some extent. Oh, okay, Mike. Yeah, check out the video on custom settings. Camera Conspiracies did a good video today. Oh yeah, I watched that just before. Well, not just before. Well, I woke up at like an hour before the stream started, and while I was drinking my coffee, I watched that video. I always try to watch his. He always gives me a good laugh. I like that. I like what did he say? Mic drop, right? You guys have to watch Camera Conspiracies. He's always a lot of fun to watch. Good evening from Saudi Arabia. Watched a video where you did changing on colors on PenF. Was wondering if it's possible in EM5 Mark II. It is not. You'd have to do it in post-processing with Olympus Workspace. Olympus Workspace has the color dial. And if the color dial is grayed out, what you can do is export within Olympus Workspace, export your images to TIFF, and then that'll allow you to work with that image using the color wheel in Workspace. So you can only do it in post-processing. And that's why I'm hoping, like, if there's ever a PenF 2, they don't even have to make a PenF 2. We just need a firmware update where we can adjust saturation, hue, and luminance of the individual colors in the color wheel, just like we can in Workspace. Yeah, Hart says Camera Conspiracies is good narrative, but he hates photographers. Yeah. Yeah, he thinks photographers are messing up the camera industry because, all he does is vlog and most of the cameras are made for photography, right? And then when a camera company tries to make a vlogging camera, there's always some problem. Marcia, yes, as far as I know, you have to use Olympus Workspace. I believe the OI Share app is, on a phone, for example, can update your cameras as well. Though I don't trust Wi-Fi updates. I would always do it manually with a wire to the camera versus relying on this. But I think it can be done with this as well. But don't quote me on that. Let me just pull up my app. Where is it? Olympus Share. What is there? Some update on the privacy policy? And product registration, lens advisor, manual, no. Settings. camera management. I thought there was. Like, I don't see it now. But I thought there was. I have to... That'll be another fine print thing, right? Update camera via app. Because my EM1 Mark II, I haven't updated the firmware on that. I'm still on 3.1. I think there's 3.2 now. Shoot to Save says all Olympus gear disappeared from Dubai, Saudi Arabia, Gulf region. Not even bad. Ooh, wow. How long has it been gone? Like just recently, or like did they just stop recently, or has it been like not there for a while? And also, you used the 1745 75 F1.8s, the 12 to 40 40. Yeah, that's quite the collection. I have I have all of those except the 40 to 150, which is on my short list too. After I get the 8 to 25, I'm thinking about the 40 to 150 f2.8. Hi Rob, do you have any instructional videos for Workspace? Yeah, I have a playlist for Workspace. They're not organized too well, but I plan on doing more Workspace videos. So just search my channel for Workspace, and it, you know, like 4 or 5 of them should come up at least. So oh, you tried the fireworks with different bulb settings. Okay. I mean, that seems like the most logical way to use the bulb mode is, or to take fireworks would be using bulb mode. I haven't been out for fireworks in God, 20 years. I think is the last time I saw any fireworks. John says, thanks for the help on highlights and shadows. I'm using your Acros and Velvia simulation with custom curves saved on those two my sets. It works great. Oh, okay, good. Yeah, they came out okay. The custom settings to simulate the Fujifilm Acros and Velvia. I did a little bit of work on that with the Olympus EM10. I haven't really gotten too deep into it on the Pen F, which is a little bit, can do a little better job than the EM10 even. Because you know, after watching, no, I'm sorry, excuse me, after buying a Fujifilm and looking at the colors, because I have an XT30, which is still, I should just sell this. I don't know. I mean, the colors were nice, you know, nothing wrong with them, but I wasn't, I didn't feel like it was worth the effort to calculate like a simulation onto Olympus when I have a Fujifilm already. But maybe I'll get around to it. Siegfried, who has a terrific blog, has a great tutorial on working with the color wheel on the Olympus Pen F. Well, Lysipius, how are you? Just in from trying out your exposure settings for video. Looking forward to editing the photos. Oh, okay, good, good. And thank you for your message on my forum, Lysipius. It just didn't occur to me, you know. But you're right. You're right. Long story short, you'll have to go to my forum if you want to see the message. But yeah, NF really need firmware to unlock the front dial. Yes, definitely. Unlock the front dial potential, I should say. Leon, how are you? Also saw Olympus gear suddenly just about zero in South Africa. Wow. Wow. Dan Garcia, good to see you. I'm still waiting for the XT30 18 to 55 versus the M5 Mark III and 12 to 40 Pro. Huh. I must have promised that at one point, huh? Okay. It's not really a fair comparison. The M5 Mark III would crush it. But let's see. Let me make a note here. XT30 and 18 to 55 versus 5.3 with a 12 to 40. What did you want to see exactly? Like just difference in video, the difference in image quality, or colors? I don't know. I guess I can do it all. That would be a long video. I mean, the only area I think Fujifilm would be definitely would beat the M5 Mark III is in low light, you know, to some extent. I mean, not until you get over ISO 6400. Under that, you know, it's so close to my eyes that it's not that much difference. But I do know the XT30 for video, definitely what I like about the video on the Fujifilm is when you save the video to your camera or to your computer, uh, all the EXIF data is there, right? The ISO, shutter speed, camera used, aperture, all of that info is there. Whereas like when you save video from your Olympus, you know, you got nothing. Just the dimensions is, you know, it's full HD. That's all they tell you. But with Fuji, they give you that. Also, the Fujifilm, if I recall correctly, will allow the auto ISO to go up to 12,800. Whereas on the Olympus cameras, the ISO is capped at 3,200, which, you know, I don't like. I wish they would let us just use any ISO we want instead of arbitrarily capping things. I mean, I get it. They don't want people to take grainy pictures, but sometimes being able to see the picture is more important than, you know, the grain or image quality. You know, just let me use whatever ISO I want. But they cap it. Just bought a used EM1 Mark II for $650. Wow, that's awesome. And Shoot to Save says 6 months and Olympus is nowhere. And I think he said in Saudi Arabia. If Leica can run a niche company, why can't Olympus? I don't know. Shoot to Say says, Rob, give me the news that all will be well and Olympus will continue like Ricoh took over some company. I always hope for the best. I'm very optimistic. You know, it's because I got a lot of, you know, on this kind of topic, you get a lot of feedback in both directions, right? Um, and people try to justify their explanation with statements like, I used to be in this industry, or I used to do this, you know, like I have years of experience in acquisitions and mergers, and or I used to be in manufacturing or production. I used to do, you know, I've done this and this is how this works, you know. um and the truth is, you know, and like I said, I always feel like the opposite of a truth is another truth. There's nothing I can say or you can say that's wrong. If you say, you know, that jip is a and it's kind of funny in English language, right? If you jip someone, that means you cheated them. I hate to use the word jip, but Japanese industrial partners is uh, an investment company, right? They take funds from private investors or from other companies privately to invest, that they invest to try to get a return on investment. And some people say that these merger acquisition things are always chop shop deals. You know, they just divide and conquer. They take the bits that are not making money, but by itself is worth a lot of money. You know, combined as a whole, it's not making money, but if you break it up, these individual pieces are worth more than the whole. Uh, and then other people are arguing, you know, Japan's just trying, you know, Olympus is trying to avoid labor laws and things. I mean, we could go on for hours and talk about this, and like I said, there's no right or wrong. There's only you're right and I'm right. We're both right. We just don't know. Time will tell. I like to be optimistic, like the Rico example, where the cameras continue, maybe on a limited basis, but they continue cranking out quality product. And like the Pentaxes, they've always been excellent cameras. I still have mine. Uh, man, that thing's at least 10 years old, maybe 14 years old. Still takes great pictures. And all the new cameras that have come out from Pentax, are all excellent, well-built cameras. So I hope that's the future for Olympus, uh, but under the new company name. And that's what I like. That's what I like to think. But time will tell. We'll see what happens. It's not who's right or wrong. It's just whatever happens happens. If Olympus is gone, I'll just buy something else when I need to. If Olympus is still around and producing quality products, I'll buy that. I'll buy that. Or maybe Olympus will buy the OMDs and Zuiko company back, right? That would be best case scenario in my opinion. Let's see. I keep saying that new lens roadmap is like rearranging the chairs on a sinking ship. That's funny. Hi Rob, I'm thinking about trying the XT30 and 18-55 combo just as you did, but if the image quality is going to be much worse with that lens than my 12-40 Pro, I might not do it. Okay, I see where you're going. So basically you want to see kind of the sharpness throughout the zoom range, right? My gut feeling is the 12-40 is better, but I haven't put them side by side for a test. So sharpness through the range. I'll give it a shot. And Jan has the 12-40 glued to the EM10 Mark III. Awesome. And Shoot to Save says, and believe me, on screen, all is same, be it my D810 or XH1 or EM52 on and stage shoot with the 75 at f2 is better than the D810 with the 105 2.8. Wow, that D810 is an awesome camera too, and the 105 2.8. That's a pretty big statement there, right? Good, really, really huge. I like on its face, I wouldn't believe it, but uh, but since you say it is, I believe you. I know the 75 is an awesomely sharp lens. I just don't have a need for it. It's still sitting over there. I don't know why. I should put it away so it doesn't get all fungusy. I'd like to see how they compare in image quality, sharpness, color, dynamic range, especially the magic colors film simulation people talk about. Okay. That's going to take a little more time, the colors, because I'd have to take a variety of subjects. Because the Fujifilm colors, they react a little bit differently depending on the lighting. Which is why it's so hard to reproduce on another camera, like even the Pen F or in software. Because they do things to the tone curves, I think, of the individual color channels where, in the shadows, the reds are shifted more, but in the highlights, they're not shifted quite as much. And it's very difficult to do in a camera and in software. So they definitely, to duplicate without knowing exactly how they did it. But I'll just do stock images. They'd have to be JPEGs because the Fujifilm colors are JPEG images. I did do a video comparing the EM10 Mark II with the Fujifilm XT30. I believe it was EM10. I think I compared like Provia with Natural. I can't remember now. It was about a year ago. But it wasn't a comprehensive test. But that was one of the things I noticed about Fujifilm colors is it's not a straight up increase the red contrast or increase the green. It was more of a more in-depth thing because I was trying, I got my color card out when I was trying to do it. I took a picture of my color card with the Fujifilm, with the different film simulations, and I took a picture of my uh, with the Olympus, and then I put the two images side by side, and then I started tweaking the colors and hue and saturation, luminance, etc., between the two images to try to get all the color tiles to match across the scene. And then when I got that to work, I went out and took pictures, and then it didn't match up again. And that's when I discovered it's not only adjusting hue, saturation, whatever, but it also depends on the lighting. You know, the shadows, the highlights, the white balance, everything is different on the Fujifilm. It's not as simple. It wasn't as simple as I had hoped, so to speak. The level meters on my Olympus CM1 Mark II are not accurate. Sometimes I put a split level on the lens to make sure. Yeah. On my EM1 Mark II and 3, they're fine, but on my EM10 Mark II, it's definitely off. And you can set the levels manually, but I think that goes away. That's another good fine print thing, right? The level meters. So many good ideas today, but you can set it manually, but then it goes away. And honestly, for me, it didn't make a lot of difference because, you know, even if the level meter's slightly off, mine was off about 1 degree. I would just fix it in post-processing, and you know, nobody likes to do that, but you know, we like to get it right in camera as much as we can. But that's just been how I've been dealing with it. But yeah, I don't know why they're off. That's the only camera of all the ones I have where the level meter is off. All right, I just moved over entirely to Olympus from Canon, and previous to that Nikon for 35 years. I'm happy irrespective of recent news. Yes, me too. I'm so happy I have my Olympus cameras. Especially even more so now with the news, because I know I definitely have 100% Olympus product, right? And that's what makes me happy. I think the only concern people have really about the selling of it is the you know, what's the service going to be like in the future? Because if I break this 2 years from now, am I going to be able to get it fixed, or am I just going to have to buy a whole new one, right? Not new, but maybe find one on the used market. And like I said, time will tell. Yes, nature says, everyone says, I don't know, so my advice is just get on with your life. And that's what I've been saying since the rumor started, was nobody knows what's going to happen except the board of directors, right? Uh, they're the only ones that really know. And that know what the plans are, I should say. Even they don't know what's going to happen, but they make plans, and they're the only one that knows the plans. Everyone from the secretary down could get a pink slip the next day, and it'd be a total surprise. That's just the way it is in the corporate world. When I started taking interest in photography in the 70s, Pentax was very popular. Could not afford it though. Really? Meaning, not that you couldn't afford it, because you know, I'm in the same boat, but that Pentax was popular back then. I was more of a, in the early 70s, man, I was definitely like Kodak, those little box cameras you got. That's what I would use. I forget what they're called now. Instamatics, Kodak Instamatics. That's what I used. I have a hard time believing that JIP would invest the amount of money they're going to and not keep the business alive. Yeah, it's like I said, it's hard to say, you know, and honestly, JIP, you know, these investing companies, they only put up a fraction of their own money. So they have very little skin in the game as a business. They usually take out loans that's collateralized against all of the assets that they're getting. And so that's how these tiny companies, because Chip as a company is very small relative to Olympus or the imaging division, and they couldn't possibly buy it out of pocket. It's not like you and I, we buy a camera, we're 100% invested, but when they buy something, they might be, you know 1% invested, right? Into the whole thing, and all the rest of the money is coming from investors that are hoping for a return, or loans against the collateral. So if they're not able to turn things around, they can sell off the assets and pay off the loans. But they don't have a lot of skin in the game. IM10 level meters always work perfect. It's a pity that to work with the level on a hot shoe. Yeah, it's a pen. Oh, okay. PETA. God, now I know what that means. Yeah, I never liked the hot shoe levels because they were off. Because when you put the level in the hot shoe, unless they fit very tight and snug, they can wobble a little bit too, and I think and if they fit too tight, that's a pain. And when they're too loose, they wobble, right? So it has to be just right for your camera. I bought mine originally for my Nikon. I bought a pack of 3, and the Nikons have little spring leaves inside the hot shoe, and my level would be lopsided. So I just ditched the whole idea of using bubbles. I used the one on a tripod, but then because of parallax error, when you're looking at the bubble on your level, it's not right either. It just one day they'll come up with a solution that actually will get you level. I imagine those engineering type people have very accurate ways to level stuff, because they gotta level things for miles, right? When they're doing roads and bridges. Pizza Safe says, I said on a stage shoot. Yes, I understood. Hopefully I didn't mess that up, but that's what I thought what you were talking about. Hopefully I didn't miscommunicate that. And if you have a floor that is not level, you get more problems. Yes. With a tripod, I mean, yeah, obviously. There's a Indian vlogger who used Nikon 200 f2.8 at 200 millimeters wide open for his vlogs. With full frame Nikon, the big blur is just out of this world. I bet. Man, that's crazy. I have a 200 f4 Nikon that I can try. I'll adapt that to my Micro Four Thirds. I've done it before for photos. The images are really, yeah, they're tight, man. But you get some that 200 millimeter f4 from Nikon is a this one. I bought this for $99, and is this my? Oh no, it's not. I lost my stupid lens thing. What do you call it? Focal reducer, where it gives you an extra stop of light and reduces the focal length. I paid a couple $100 for that thing, and I can't find it. But this 200 f4 from Nikon, with the adapter on it, it looks huge, but it's not bad, right? Like here's the Fuji, f18 to 55 lens with the hood on it. So it's a little longer. This is longer, but man, this lens is magical. I think I saw a thumbnail this morning from Peter Forsgaard where he was talking about using vintage lenses. I wonder if I haven't seen it yet. I can't put the adapter back on. Oh well. So, but I'm definitely going to check that out, later today. So check that out if you're into vintage lenses and stuff. Nature says, I'll be sticking with Micro Four Thirds, and maybe my next lens will be the 150 to 400. Wow. That's going to be crazy expensive. Would be great if would be great is if the software for the camera and lens with Olympus Panasonic was compatible. Yeah, I seriously doubt it. How many shutter actuations on the camera? Oh, that's not for me. Because 75 at f1.8 is equivalent to 150 f3.6 for depth of field, so any advantage of ISO is equated. And then I could cover university sites all the same. Yes, that all makes sense. Um, except you're probably at half the weight, right? Let's see, anyone looking young new is M43 smartphone. I'd never even heard of it. I didn't know they had one. At the moment, I have stabilization between all my lenses and cameras with Panasonic except for the 100 to 300 Mark 1. Okay. How do you set it manually? I'm not sure what you're asking me. Set what manually, Darren? That was from, God, 10 minutes ago. I'm so sorry. Subject has probably changed since then, right? Let me read faster. With Olympus, only my 300 had stabilization between camera and lens. Crap, I lost my place here. Shoot to Save says XH1 with 90mm f2 is awesome. But Ollie 75 has something I can't touch. Really? Okay. I almost bought an XH1 instead of my XT30. I was so close. Since glass lasts basically forever, even if Ollie starts to go away, I will just buy some spare body. Yeah, I mean, you can always go to the used market and buy Olympus, right? Olympus original cameras. You're tired of changing, huh, Mike? From Pentax to Canon. I don't know. I think I kept my Nikon, my Pentax. I've never got into Canon. Uh, I just enjoy the different things about different cameras. They all offer a little different experience, right? You know, but if I had to pick one system, it would definitely be Olympus. But I hang on to stuff. I did sell all of my Sony lenses. I kept the camera body with the kit lens, but I sold all my primes and zooms and everything. Because they were, at the time, they were still fetching pretty good money. Because people were really into Sony, right? So I said, oh, heck, let me just get rid of this crap. I just didn't like the, I just was not a fan of Sony. Olympus Workspace tutorial would be helpful. Yes, I have a few. I'll continue to make some more, though. Jose says, have a Nikon D800 with a Pro 24 to 70 and compared to my EM1 Mark 1 and Mark 2 with the 12 to 40. Generally, I can't tell the difference in IQ. I carry the Ollie a lot more because of the weight. Yeah, that 24 to 70 f2.8 is a big heavy lens. I never bought it because it was just so big and expensive, right? It's like $2,000. Oh, so that was a lens I never bought. Same thing with the 70 to 200 f2.8. Huge heavy butt lens and expensive, couple $1,000. So I bought the 70 to 200 f4, which is a magical lens. And Pentax was expensive. As a student, I could only afford a Practica. Oh my God, a Practica. Man, I see those at the thrift shops time to time, antique shops. And I was looking for some Practica lens mounts to Micro Four Thirds, and then I gave up on that. I got enough lenses, vintage lenses with Nikon. I don't need to buy more. The K1000 was a great teaching camera. Yes, definitely. Very popular teaching camera. Nature says, I'll be interested in the Ollie 100 macro when released. Interesting to see if it will outperform my 200, my Nikon 200 and Samyang 100. It should. I mean, Olympus, if anything, their lenses are spectacular. All the floors of my house are not level. Speed booster, thank you. I think it was a Viltrox. I can't remember now. It's been so long since I've seen it. It's got to be somewhere. It's probably rolled under my bed or something and is now full of mold, you know, and it's useless. But I got to find it because I put that speed booster onto my 50mm Nikon f1.4, so I had an effectively f1 50mm, right, which is 100mm f2 in 35mm terms, and it was, yeah, it was tough getting focus right wide open, but it's a very interesting. It was a lot of fun to shoot like that, and I want to do more stuff like that just for fun, but there's no practical reason to shoot like that. 100mm f2. I just can't see any practical reason to shoot that way, but it's kind of fun sometimes. Anyone else thinks that the Pen F will become a collector's item? I just grabbed one in almost like new condition. It could be, Alberto. It's tough to say. It depends how many were made. If there's a ton of them out there, it's never going to be a collector's item. It'll just be sort of one of those, what do they call it? Oh, God, I'm suffering from early stages of dementia, I think. What do they call it? It's kind of like the Helios lens from Russia. Cult. It'll be like a cult camera, right? Like there'll be a certain group of people that love the camera and will buy it and take care of it and cherish it. But being collectible is another issue. I think that just has to do with supply. I mean, cult's not really the right word either, but kind of that. Hopefully, I got my message across. My uncle had a Pentax. My Practica, all manual too, but a piece of East Germany junk. That 200mm old Nikon lens looks interesting. I can use any of these with my Ollie and Panasonic camera with my Metabones. Yes, definitely. I think it becomes like an equivalent, well, you multiply it by 0.73, right? So 200 times 0.726 or whatever. So it becomes 145mm equivalent at 145mm at f2.8, and then double that for 35mm equivalent. So like maybe a 300mm f5.6, if you want to look at it in those terms. Nature says, I think you're correct, Rob, with the price of the 150 to 400 lens. Guess no replacement car and no going out to restaurant and bar hub forever. Man, if I bought a lens like that, I'd be bagging lunch every day. John McCormick says, off topic, did you hear the interview with Patrick Stewart on NPR discussing the new Star Trek Picard season on July? I just canceled my frickin' CBS membership because I didn't want to wait and pay all those months until it came out again. Well, if you're talking about season 1, John, I did follow a little bit of that, and I remember him saying that he wanted his own creative input into the show, so that before he would do it. And I don't know what input he added. I like the series, but I wasn't blown away by it. You know, I liked it about as much as I like Star Trek Discovery. I mean, I liked them all. But it's not the kind of show that I would watch over and over again like I do the original series, Next Generation, Voyager, you know, all of the pre-Star Trek Discovery Star Treks. I do go back and watch time to time, even though I've seen the episode, you know, many times. I'll go back and watch them again because I just enjoy it. The Star Trek Discovery and Star Trek Picard, I enjoyed it when I watched it, but after it was over, I didn't have this desire to go back and watch it again. uh, and I think that's, you know, I can't explain why. Maybe because I'm not invested in it. I'm invested in Picard though, but he wasn't the same Picard that we saw in Next Generation, right? In Next Generation, he was very in command, captain of his starship. And in Picard, the series, you know, he's not even captain of a starship or captain of the little shuttle they go around in. He's just a guy trying to save some girl, like the daughter of his friend. That's not like a Star Trek kind of theme, right? With Picard. Picard needs to be captain, in charge, you know, top dog, and with, you know, fleets under his command. Like, I would have loved to see Picard come back. He's Admiral Picard, right? Working, you know, um, commanding entire fleets. Anyway, that's off topic, but yeah, I did see it. There's an interesting post-production photo and video editing software in Final Cut Pro, Rob. Okay. I don't use Final Cut Pro. I think that's an Apple thing. I don't use Apple. Yeah, the converter with that 200 f4 was really interesting. It's heavy though. This lens is heavy. It's all metal, you know, the vintage stuff. The Pen F is a super camera for grab and go. Yeah, I love the Pen F. Jan says, if only we were rich, this beautiful hobby is kind of expensive, right? Yeah, it is. Yeah, but get into boating. You want to talk about getting, I mean, lots of hobbies are expensive, man, but uh yeah. My sister recently got a boat, so she's feeling the pain of that hobby. The Nikon DF has kept a high price. Oh, that's true. That's true. Because I've been waiting for that to drop to like $500 forever, and it never has, right? It's still like a $1,200, $1,300 used. I don't know why. It wasn't a particularly great camera. You know, it never got good reviews because it's basically a D4, right? In a 610 body, and then reimagined a little bit. I mean, I'm breaking it down to its like unfairly. I'm sure they put a lot of work into designing it, but they, even then, I would argue that they just used the design from their older Nikons. You know, it wasn't new and innovative, it was just a retro thing. So they didn't have to work that hard on the design. They're recycling the D4 sensor, and then they probably used the guts of the D610 for all the electronics. And, but I still want it, you know? Because the same could be said for the Pen F, right? They just recycled designs, retro designs from an old Leica 3 and put the guts of the EM10 and EM5 into it. And cranked it out, but there's more to a camera than just the specs, right? Hi Rob, have you been able to get out? No, I'm sorry, Craig. I have not been able to get out. It's tough. Has anyone got the Samyang 135f2? No, I've not seen it. But it's hard to focus, huh? Yeah, and it's heavy, I'm sure. Ollie 75 F18 photo walk must be in the near future. Agenda, weather permitted. Yeah, I got to do that, Leon. You've been asking me for months now to do that. I'm just afraid to go out, actually, because of all the crap that's going on. You know, I'd have to drive out somewhere. I really need to take a photo trip, right, for about a week and just do all different kinds of photography. Because, you know, when I'm home here, I'm limited to photo walks, which I don't want to do in my neighborhood or in the nearby cities like DC. Even Alexandria, to some extent, has been a little bit hairy lately. So I'd have to travel out anyway. because you'll notice my channel, I haven't had any vlogs like since March or February. It's been a long freaking time. And if I look at my image catalog, it's like I have hardly any images. You know, most of the images in my catalog now are just test shots for my tutorials and things. Maybe I'm just being paranoid, but let's hear. So nature uses both Apple and Windows. Yeah, I don't touch Apple. I'm not saying anything bad about Apple. I just have a personal problem. Just like I do with people sometimes, you know, for no good reason. Right now in Virginia, it's 84 degrees, 70%. Yeah, it feels like 90. Yeah, I just have my little fan on. I need to go buy a new AC unit. I'm looking at that LG dual inverter, 14,000 BTU. It's like 500 and some dollars. That's going to eat into my laptop money that I need. But the AC unit now that I have now is only 8,000 BTU. It's a window unit, you know, just like the one I'm looking at. It doesn't really, it's not really that cold, and it's not cooling the house down enough. It takes the humidity away, but the temperature, my house stays at like 79, 80 degrees, regardless of what I set the AC to. It takes the humidity away, so I put a little fan next to me and I feel fine. But it'd be nice, you know, on hotter days, like when the temperatures actually start getting into the 90s and close to 100, my house gets up to about 84 degrees. Like right now, my room here is 84 degrees, 53% humidity, or 82 degrees and 53% humidity. So when I have the AC on, the humidity drops, see, to 36%, but you can see the temperature doesn't really drop. This is a 24-hour window. So within the last 24 hours, yesterday I had the AC on, so that the humidity dropped. So with the AC on and a little fan next to me, I stay pretty cool. But I need to buy a new AC unit, basically. All right, hi Darren. Fundamentally do wildlife and nature photo video, but if I ever do get a portrait, I use the G9 with a Nocturne 42. Oh yeah, yeah, the G9 and a 42.5. Man, that's an awesome combo. Boats are selling like hotcakes here in Florida. Really? Guys want to get away from home during. Yes, I agree. Hey Rob, you must come over to London sometime to do some photography when the virus reduces. Our executive room is virtually completed. All you have to do is pay for the flight to Heathrow Airport. I appreciate that. I'd have to get a passport though. I'm not big into travel. I hate traveling. God, I hate traveling. I let my passport expire 20 years ago because the last time I traveled was 1989, maybe 88. No, I think 98. I think 1997 or 1998 was the last. No, it was before that. It was mid 90s, like 95, 96 is the last time I traveled out of the country. And the last time I've been on a plane was like 1998. I think that was the last time I was ever on a plane. The only thing that is wildlife is cats and dogs. Yeah, my dog is definitely wild. Yeah, the humidity is bad for cameras. I know, that's what I'm saying. uh, I have to find my lenses before they get all moldy. The ones in this room are okay, because I keep a lot of the lenses inside of a case with little little packets of whatever those things are. But some lenses that I cannot find, maybe rolled under the bed or something. Maybe, yeah, it's probably all fungus and mold by now. Like one of my Nikon 50 millimeters, yeah, totally destroyed with fungus in the matter of a couple of months, you know, and it was, my 50 millimeter pancake lens, the Nikon E lenses, man, those were great little lenses. Okay, travel by plane. I don't know how many hours flight it is, but the last time I was on a plane, it's like a 20 some hour flight. It was painful. And then once I got there, I didn't I didn't enjoy my time either. I mean, it was kind of fun, but when your body has to adjust to the water, let's just leave it at that. uh, it was rough. Come to Dubai in January and do a sand dune shoot. Oh, that would be awesome. Don't move the floor. The central AC here will cost you $12,000 to replace. I don't have central AC, John. I just use window units. My house is so old. I use oil heat with a water system. You know, I got little water radiators, and then for AC, I just use window units. But yeah, I got quoted about 15,000 to install a central AC because I don't have ductwork or anything in my house. So they'd have to install all the ductwork, install the platform, like cement everything outside to place the frickin' thing onto, and the compressor. And then I'd have to remove the oil tank and furnace out and replace that with an electric water heater. So it got so freaking expensive. I said, you know what? I'm gonna go buy a window used AC unit for $500, and I'm fine. I ain't spending, you know, I don't have the money to begin with, but I ain't gonna spend or finance, you know, $15,000 to $20,000 to upgrade a house that's, you know, so freaking old. Because once I replace the AC unit and heating, I got to replace all the windows because I still have the original wood windows from the 50s in this house. So I installed this nice fancy pants AC HVAC unit, and it's wasted because my windows are, you know, 60 years old, or not 70 years old now. They don't insulate nothing, you know, and all the insulation. I don't know why I'm talking about my house, but yeah. Uh, it would be a huge endeavor. I'd have to spend probably closer to $40,000 to really bring my house up to energy efficiency levels of a modern home. And the house is not worth 40,000 more if I spend that money. And again, not that I have the money to do it anyway, but that's what it would take. So up to 7 hours on a flight to Heathrow from DC or from wherever. Maybe I have to fly to LA first, or I'd have to fly up to New York and then from New York fly out. I don't know if anything from Dulles goes straight to the UK. Yeah, building work sounds absolutely ridiculous to me to improve the heating system. It is. 2 years maximum air conditioner. Huh. That reminds me, I was talking to a guy I think he was from Dubai. But I asked him, you know, I says, why is Toyota so popular over there? You know, the Toyota trucks and things. Uh, because I have a Jeep, right? For sand dunes and going out, right? Off-roading. And I said, but everybody seems over there to like Toyotas, you know? And I said, I know they're reliable, but Jeep makes a great product too for off-roading. And he said, you know why they like Toyotas? Because Toyotas have the best AC, the coldest AC. And then it hit me. That makes total sense why Toyotas are so popular over there versus say Jeep. um, yeah, Nature 12, old rundown house, and he's been 12 years improving. Yeah, I don't have any budget for improving this house. I need to paint it. The paint's all peeling off. You know, I should just open my old house up like one of those old mental asylums where people take tours and take pictures of like the rotting furniture and peeling paint. I could probably open the doors to my house for the same kind of photography. But I need to paint it because the paint is peeling off. Oh, yeah, I live in the ghetto. Come to India is very affordable from the Himalayas to the desert. Yes. I would love to go to India, actually. Um, I would love it because I love Indian food. And Indian people, I mean, people are nice everywhere, but I've had the good fortune of meeting a lot of Indian people here. Because, you know, this area here, you know, we have basically the internet core hub here and major companies and contracting for information technology. So, not to stereotype, but there's a lot of Indians here. And I've had the good fortune of working with a lot of them. And they always crack me up though. They always make me laugh, and they have such a good the ones I've run into anyway, such a good heart. Maybe I should come over to you, Rob, and do improvements necessary. That would be something. I would, if I had the money, I would have done it already. Uh, but you know, I go to Home Depot and I'm like, $50 for like a gallon or two of paint, and I need how many gallons to paint this house? I'm like, you know, come on. Uh, Chainsaw Massacre movie style. Indian food, thousands of varieties. Yes, lots of Indian people in London. My best friends are Jaswinder and Balwinder. Oh, okay. I don't know who they are, but maybe are they famous actors, actresses, or just your friends, you know? Not that I should use the word just. What businesses am I in? Primarily, I'm a real estate photographer, right? And then I make this YouTube channel. But I used to do consulting, right? Business consulting in marketing. Ironically, I'm the worst marketer in the world. But and I did some graphic design and some website design. I programmed the back end for like using PHP and SQL. I designed or I put together a back end system for accounting and managing the business. So I, you know, just jack of all trades. I'm not the master of any, uh, but I'm cheap and I get the job done, and they can trust me, right? Because there's a lot of things in a company that are very sensitive, and you don't want, you know, anybody to know uh, sort of the trade secrets in it, things like that. So your most valuable asset is really, who are you as a person? Are you an honest, trustworthy person? One, if you have that, they can overlook any other shortcomings, right? Uh, in your skill set, and hire you because they trust you and they know you. Um, you know, because think about it, if you could put your an job offering out there, and you can have somebody come in that's 10 times more qualified to do the job, but something you didn't trust about that person. If you don't trust that person, man, you don't want them. And that's kind of the advantages I get with some of the works that I get. So I still do small jobs time to time. Like I did some video editing, uh, some very basic video editing. You know, I just trimmed the front and back end off and added a header and title. And so yeah, I just do whatever comes along. Yes, I am self-employed though, 100%. Which is bad because I really need a schedule. You know, I'm not a very disciplined person. Like these live streams, right? I just turn the computer on, sit down, and and just start to talk. Uh, my photography, my tutorials, things, you know, like the one I made the other day, the one I put out yesterday, I just sat down around 7 or 8 o'clock last night. Well, around a little bit after 7 o'clock, I sat down and said, you know, I need to make this video on spot metering because I was thinking about it the other day. And then I just sat down and made it. And that's what you got this morning when you woke up, that video. Wow, John, you adopted two baby girls from Mother Teresa. Really? Well, okay, I need to get ready for my next stream where I do some photo editing live. Um, and so I only got about 10 minutes before that starts. I appreciate everybody coming in. Hopefully I answered everybody's questions. And oh, Lauren's asked me if I had soup yet. She brought me sushi yesterday. But I'm going to my photo editing live stream where you can upload your photos and I can edit them, and then you can download one of mine and edit mine. You know, just have some fun. So uh, I appreciate everyone coming in today. It's always a pleasure to chat with you, and I learn a lot as well. So thanks for that. And I'll be back on Thursday for my normal photo chat, and we'll see you guys again soon.